Hi, welcome back to Glowland. If things sound different today, I got up randomly really early, so I decided to just come to my office super early and use our conference room to record. Because I was like, this is gonna be like a good, pretty quiet place to record. It's 7:45. I also they have an espresso machine here, so that was my other impetus, my other reason for coming in so early. Everyone else is working from home today, so I'm like, cool, I'm gonna just get in, chill for a little while, and then like get to work, and I don't know, probably go home around lunchtime or something, something like that. God, I love being able to work from home. I can't believe I just came from a job where it was like, be in the office at exactly 8:30 or we'll, steal your firstborn child or whatever. They were so intense when they didn't need to be. Anyways, today I want to talk about my approach to breakouts. So I just moved and everything, and within every time I move, like, it's like inevitably I'm gonna end up having breakouts of some kind. I usually get like a zit here and there every like week or two nowadays, but every once in a while I have like a full-on breakout, whether that's from stress or just like needing, like, switching up detergents, needing to wash my pillowcase. I think this time it was because I switched up my detergent because I ran out of my normal, like, free and clear, zero fragrance, zero irritant detergent. So I used like regular, like, scented detergent, and my skin does not like that. Like, my skin is not about it. So I'm gonna have to rewash my pillowcases and stuff. Well, I mean, I need to wash them anyway, but I need to wash them with, I got the free and clear, like, Tide pods that I'm used to. And then I also like to use laundry sanitizer just to really, which is also the free and clear laundry sanitizer to pack that 1-2 punch of, just not putting irritants on my skin and not putting, like, bacteria on my skin unnecessarily. So I got to do that. And now I'm like staring into the void, and realizing that I didn't bring my dryer balls with me, which for those of you who don't know, you can use like wool dryer balls or even like silicone dryer balls instead of dryer sheets. And I kind of prefer that just because it's a little bit more sustainable. And I don't have to keep going out and buying dryer sheets, every few months. Though, I mean, I'm thinking, like, is it really more sustainable to use dryer balls? I don't know, but I think it is. I mean, wool is a pretty sustainable material since it's, all natural, very renewable. Yeah. Anyways, and it's not single use. So I've kept the same dryer balls for I've had them for a couple of years now. I think I replaced my old ones after 2021 or 2022. So I'm probably due to go ahead and buy some new ones anyway. I'll go out and get those later. But that was a huge tangent. I'm getting back to the point, which is how I deal with breakouts. So I wanted to break this down, do a little breakout breakdown by types of breakouts, sort of types of acne, the products and sort of actives that I use, and then like aftercare. Which, saying aftercare, not in like a sex way, but in like a burn victim way. No, that's not funny. It kind of is. My humor's so dark. I'm trying to not have the darkest humor ever on here. So I want to start with like sort of the 3 types of acne that I see regularly on my skin, at least. There's like a couple of other kinds, I guess. But mainly I'm going to talk about whiteheads, blackheads, and cystic acne. Some people also, you might like deal with like body acne, you might deal with fungal acne. But those have like other approaches, and like I can probably talk about those in future episodes. So I'm just going to talk about whiteheads, blackheads, and cystic acne today. So let's get into it. Starting with whiteheads, I really like to approach acne from both ends. Like I like to be like, what caused it in the first place, so that I can stop doing that thing, and then what is going to help get rid of it once I have it. So with whiteheads, like I said, it's probably just that like stress, and my diet has probably been off. I know I've definitely been having a lot more sugar and like greasy food and like stuff that isn't super great for my like gut biome. and like really addressing your digestion and the things you eat, and like trying to avoid things that mess with sort of your like gut biome balance. It's really helpful. I'd say more so with cystic acne, but with whiteheads also. And so trying to reduce all of the like sugar that I have, especially refined sugar. I love using honey, because honey is sort of, it helps with my voice, which is like perpetually sort of scratchy and almost croaky. I like my voice, but I'm like, why is it forever like this? Anyways, but yeah, so I address it from that end, but also in terms of things I use on my face. Once I have a breakout, like this past week, like I said, I've had a breakout. So one thing, so you're not supposed to really pop your pimples. I do, like if it's come to a head, I do, just because I don't want to deal with having that on my face for more than like a day. If I don't pop them, I throw a pimple patch on. I don't care if I'm like going out and about, like unless I'm like doing makeup and like going out, like I'm going to an event or like to dinner or something, then I'll like put concealer over it instead. But generally I'll wear a pimple patch to work. I don't care. Like it like, if it's like a hydrocolloid pimple patch, then it'll like help absorb all that excess sebum. It'll help flatten it a little bit faster. So I'll do that. But if not that, if I'm like at home and it's the end of the day and I get home and I realize like, oh, like a whitehead has formed like during the day, which I hate when that happens, because I'm like, ugh, like you can't pop it in the middle of the day. Like I'm not going to go to the work bathroom and like pop a zit. Like that's gross. Then once I get home from work, then I have like a comedone extractor, like what you see in pimple popping videos. So I probably need to like clean it thoroughly with alcohol. I just like, kind of wipe it off with like a clean paper towel or whatever after I use it. But I need to like fully clean it. I'll use that to extract it. And then I'll like do my double cleanse and everything after, to really make sure that like everything's clean. You're kind of supposed to clean the area beforehand so that bacteria doesn't get in there. But since I don't do that, I do generally, I do a nice thorough double cleanse and then ignore my throat clearing. And then I will sometimes either go in with like my Dermalogica microfoliant, which has BHA in it, and it has like enzymes to really get in there and like clear out my pores and everything. Or I'll go in with, I have like the Glossier, oh my gosh, I did not bother to look up the actual name of it, but they have like an exfoliating toner It's like very cute. It comes in a little pink bottle. It's like an AHA and BHA toner. I realize now, I don't think I've ever explained AHAs and BHAs. So AHAs are alpha hydroxy acids. BHAs are beta hydroxy acids. AHAs help to exfoliate off like the top layer of your skin. Like it'll take off all your dead skin cells. And it's important to be like really careful with those, because if you overdo it, you can give yourself a chemical burn. So like if you've ever like gone really ham with like the Ordinary's exfoliating serum, like the one that's like bright red and it looks like you have blood all over your face, if you leave that on too long, you'll give yourself a chemical burn. If you go in with too many AHA products, you can give yourself a chemical burn. Would not recommend. That's kind of what they do if you get like a chemical peel, is they basically like give you a really strong AHA and it, effectively burns off the top layer of your skin, but in a very controlled way. And so you have to go to a dermatologist to get that done. And if you've ever watched videos of people recovering from it, they literally have like their dead skin just flaking off over the next like week or two, and you're not supposed to peel it or like pick at it or anything. So you kind of have to like plan ahead and know that you're not going to leave your house for at least a few days. Like it's like, because it's gnarly. But yeah, whenever you're using AHAs, for that reason, that's one of the reasons why I mentioned in my sunscreen episode, you have to use sunscreen with AHAs. Anything that's taking off the top layer of your skin, that means that like all the dead skin cells that might have been helping to block you, like kind of give you some UV protection in a like kind of weird way, all of that skin is gone. You just have baby skin now, which means that it's got like it has like no protection from the sun, so you really have to make sure that you use sunscreen, reapply your sunscreen if you're using AHAs regularly, even if you're not using them, but, especially if you're using them. And then BHAs, beta hydroxy acids, so those help to dissolve like sebum and stuff in your pores. They help to clear out your pores. So if you feel like if you have really oily skin, they can be helpful. If you feel like you have really large pores, that can be BHAs can be helpful. A common BHA is salicylic acid. That's kind of like the bread and butter BHA. In terms of AHAs, in terms of alpha hydroxy acids, the common ones are, I'm trying to think now, there's like glycolic acid. I love a lactic acid. I'm trying to remember if mandelic acid is AHA or BHA. I believe it is an AHA, but it just works a lot more slowly. And then there's a whole other category called PHAs. I can't even remember what that stands for, but those ones sort of do a little bit of what AHAs do and a little bit of what BHAs do. So for some people, those are really like a really good, like gentle way to address multiple issues at once. I tried one product a couple years ago that was a PHA product. I don't think my skin loved it. So I'm going to have to at some point do a little research, maybe find a new product. That was back when like PHAs had just become popular in the US. So I'm like, I don't know how well formulated that was back when I tried it in like college, but I'm sure that there's some good products out there on the market now for me to try. But yeah, those are like a few of the really common exfoliants that you find in chemical exfoliant products. So, as I was saying before, I have a breakout, maybe do some extractions, and then I double cleanse thoroughly. I might go in with my Dermalogica microfoliant, or I'll go in with that Glossier exfoliating toner. Yes. Or the third option, which I think I brought this up in my like nighttime skincare routine because I was like, zigzagging through all the different things that I do at night. I really do like skin cycle. You should Google skin cycling, but I like to really just address whatever issues I have that day with my actives rather than just using the same actives all the time. But the other thing I might do, if I have like a bunch of like small whiteheads and I just need to like dry them out, I'll use retinol. And I'll usually, when I use retinol, I'll just put like a drop or two into this like moisturizing serum that I use. But if I'm going ham and I'm like, I really need to like just absolutely knock out all of the breakouts on my face, I'll use that moisturizing serum, and then I'll use like a full like amount of, like four or five drops of retinol. Maybe I should say like 3 or 4 drops. I don't get too crazy because that stuff really does dry out my skin real quick. But I'll like fully go in with retinol. I don't just use my 1 to 2 drops. I use more as its own layer. I don't mix it in with anything to make sure that I'm getting like the full potency of how it's really supposed to be used. And then I'll go in with like extra moisturizer after that. And even then, when I wake up in the morning, my skin is dry. Like I'll wake up and my skin will be dried out and my like acne is like all dried out, which is great because then I don't have whiteheads anymore. I usually just have like some little spots or like dried skin or whatever, where the acne was. And I usually don't even like use my gentle cleanser in the morning. Like I'll just splash water on my face because my face is just like so dry at that point. Like if I cleanse on top of it, even with like the gentle hydrating cleanser, no, I don't want to dry it out anymore. So I'll just splash water on my face in the morning. Maybe swipe like a cotton pad with like some kind of moisturizing essence or something over my face just to like try to make sure that I've gotten off all the actives from the night before and any dirt or sweat from the night before. But yeah, I'm going in gentle in the morning. So that's how I approach whiteheads. I sort of went through all 3 of the things that I do. Depending on sort of severity and like how quickly I want things to be gone. And it also depends on what I've done, like the past night. Like if I just did if I just use my Dermalogica exfoliant and I know that I basically already have baby skin, then I try not to go in with like glycolic acid because then that's just going to like take off another layer of skin and that might like probably dry out my skin too much and whatnot. So let's get into blackheads next. So I sort of mentioned it already, but I like to use BHAs for blackheads. Blackheads, honestly, I also will extract if they're like already like right there. Like if I straight up can like see a blackhead, it's one thing to just like kind of have a lot of sebum in my nose or something, or like a slightly clogged pore. In that case, I'll just go in with BHAs, right? Because why get too crazy about it? And I don't want to, and like every time you like extract a pimple, it is kind of causing trauma to your skin. And every time I cause trauma to my skin, I get a dark spot after. So every time I pop a pimple, I'm like, I know I'm gonna have to deal with the dark spot after, but I'll get to that later. So blackheads, generally I only get them if I like put a bunch of like Vaseline on my face or something, like I have to really clog my pores. And I find that I get them if I like overdo it with face oils. If I use a little bit of face oils here and there, my skin's fine. If I am going in constantly with face oil, I do start to get a lot of clogged pores, to no one's surprise. So BHAs, that the same Dermalogica microfoliant that I mentioned. I don't even, like, also, if you're thinking of getting that, at this point, you've probably looked up the price. No, I don't want to talk about it. What I do want to talk about is the fact that I recently ordered from YesStyle, like the Korean version of that product. Like, it's also like a rice powder thing that has like enzymes and BHAs in it. And I will be trying that out when it arrives tomorrow. Because it's like way cheaper than the Dermalogica one. And so if I like it just as much, I'm not repurchasing the expensive Dermalogica version. Because like love it, but oh my Lord, that price tag. So I'll go in with that for blackheads. I do extractions. Generally, I mean, with those, it's more just like I'm clearing out my pores, It's not super crazy. And I feel like those are kind of the easiest for me to deal with. And it really, I don't get a ton of them because it's really a case of like, just keep your skin clean and like wash your face like every night. Maybe use some BHAs, maybe witch hazel if that works for you. And you're probably going to prevent most of the blackheads you would have gotten in the first place. If you use retinol, that really does prevent blackheads altogether, because retinol, like I've mentioned before, it just like speeds up your skin turnover. And so of course, like if blackheads are mainly, the reason that they turn black is that like it's like dead skin cells and stuff, and then those like die and oxidize. And so what you're seeing is just a bunch of like dead cells stuck in your pores. And obviously if you use retinol, then you're going to like slough off those dead skin cells a lot more quickly. If you already have like really oily skin, then the retinol drying out your skin probably won't be such an issue for you. So I would highly recommend that. AHA's not going to do anything for blackheads, so I don't do that. So yeah, blackheads really just, I do some extractions and I like really just try to like get in there and like do a good oil cleanse, make sure that my face is really clean. And that really takes care of them for me. Then last but not least, the most difficult ones to deal with, cystic acne. Cystic pimples below the skin, hurt to like touch, hurt to move your face sometimes, kind of acne, where you're like, oh my Lord, this isn't real. Like that's one of those things where I'm like, I can't believe my skin does this. Like I can't believe like this happens to people. Like, skin, what are you doing? Why does it hurt to move my face right now? These ones are difficult to me, especially because they leave the worst scars. I know there's probably people out there who, I have a couple of them, but like those sort of like box scars where it's like you have a little tiny indent in your face, because like the cystic acne just like messed up basically multiple layers of skin in that area and like maybe like killed off like collagen or whatever. And like, yeah, it sucks because cystic acne, it hurts, it lasts the longest, and the scars last the longest. So that's what I had when I went on Accutane. Like, that's the reason that I went on Accutane, because I was just like, I cannot manage these. Like, it was like having a second job trying to like manage my cystic acne, which sounds ridiculous, but like I was really, I was just like, hey, I don't need to have perfect skin. I would just like for my skin not to hurt all the time and to like not constantly have like giant dark marks everywhere from the cystic acne. Because it's like the pimple itself would last like 3 days, but then the scar would last for like a month or two. And I'm like, well, if I'm getting one of these zits every like, few days, I ended up having dark marks all over my face. It was not fun. So cystic acne, first thing I do, I don't pop these. Not unless they're like basically like at the surface of my skin. If they're still like well below the surface of my skin, if you have cystic acne, you know the difference. But if they're well below the surface of my skin, I nowadays will get those like pimple patches that have the sort of like micro dart things. And I'll get the ones for deep zits. So those sort of basically pierce your skin and like, I'm trying to think of a better word, but like they like inject, that area with an active. Usually like tea tree oil, maybe niacinamide, or actually no, niacinamide, I have dark spot patches that have niacinamide, but the like deep zit ones will have like tea tree oil, maybe like an AHA or a BHA or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And those are great, A, because I feel like it really gets that active in there and helps to flatten the zit a lot faster, and B, if there is anything to be absorbed, that patch will like suck it out of my skin a lot more easily because it already has like kind of pierced my skin and made these like little micro hole things, which is kind of creepy to think about, but also it works, so I'll take it. So I like to start with those. Either that will like get rid of it after like a couple days of using those, or it'll bring it to a head. Usually it brings it to a head because that's just my luck. And at that point, I might go ahead and just like pop it. Is that a good idea? No. Like I said, causes scarring. But either way, it's going to cause scarring. And usually it hurts. So I just go ahead and pop it so that it's like over and done with. Also, that's not good because sometimes that can like just make it like the act of squeezing it will just like send all the like bacteria and stuff deeper into your skin, which can cause you to, it'll just like make that zit come back again and again. I think that happens more so if I try to do it while it's still really deep in my skin. And that's part of the reason why I wait for it to get closer to the surface. Yeah, all of that being said, once it's close to the surface, I treat it basically like a whitehead in that I'm using, whatever AHA or BHA or retinol solution that I think will suit it best. It's a little bit of trial and error. It's a little bit of figuring out what your skin likes, what your skin responds well to. But yeah, I get rid of it. And then comes the like aftercare of the pimple. So I kind of went through a little bit of aftercare for each of the different types of acne that I deal with. So cystic acne, like I said, I generally will get a scar, like I'll get a dark spot from it. So aftercare includes me using brightening ingredients. I'll use retinol for that as well. Retinol helps with that. I'll use AHAs for that if I, just want to take off the top layer of my skin. Very creepy to say that out loud. I will use pimple patches that are dark spot patches specifically to help brighten those up faster. I'll use vitamin C to help with dark spots in the morning. I use vitamin C only in the morning. And I use that under sunscreen, and I make sure to reapply my sunscreen, especially because, I'm basically commuting in the morning. Got to make sure that I have sunscreen on for that. And then, of course, in the afternoon, going home, afternoon sun is even more intense. And so I make sure to reapply. And I do all those things just for the dark spots. I also will try to figure out what in the world I did or ate that caused me to get a really bad zit in the first place. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we avoid that. Maybe we take some probiotics, make sure, my guts are in check. But yeah, the main thing is sunscreen as usual. Yeah, so like if she harps about sunscreen one more time, I'm gonna go and like rip her phone out of her hand so she can't record any more episodes. No, it continues to be one of the most important things in my skin journey. Maybe not in everyone's, but in mine for sure. But yeah, other than that, I especially with things that are like really exfoliating your skin, like really quickly, retinol and AHAs. I'd also say taking care of your skin barrier is super important, because if you compromise your skin barrier and like your skin's always dry, or it like feels tight but it's also oily, or things like that, that means your skin barrier's probably compromised. And it's worth it to use things like I love like Crave Beauty's line, because they have a lot of things with tamanu oil, which helps to fix your skin barrier, and it's very moisturizing. I like using things with I think it's Centella, like Centella asiatica. Those are really like soothing and they help with your skin barrier. I love squalane oil, and like Biossance products have a lot of squalane oil, things that are really focused on repairing, without being like too heavy or too greasy. Because I mean, if you have things that are really heavy, then you'll make yourself break out again. But you should like use something, because if you don't use anything, then your skin will probably dry out, and then try to increase like oil production in response to being so dry, and then you'll end up also breaking out, but in a different way. So it really is, I have like tried to work on that balance of like, depending on my skin needs, the weather, all, different factors, and like, what is the correct balance of moisturization and like not clogging my pores, since I am in a warmer climate now, and my skin isn't drying out so much, I've stopped using my heavier moisturizer in the morning. It was, of course, very, very necessary in like the Pittsburgh winter, and my skin was like dry no matter what I was putting on it. But yeah, now that I'm in like sunny and warm LA, the air here is like, it's arid, it's still dry, but it's not freezing, so my skin hasn't been drying out so quickly. So I've just switched to doing like the snail mucin cream from CosRX, and then my sunscreen right after. I just skip over using my heavy moisturizer right now, because I think that probably also contributed. I did that like my first couple days before I realized, oh wait, I don't have to be doing this. But yeah, I think that contributed to me breaking out a little bit. And I was like, darn, right? I probably don't need to be layering on moisturizer like this when it is like in the 60s here. It's just not that cold. I need some amount of moisturizer, but not that much. And if I feel like I need a little extra, I'll do like another layer of sunscreen with a drop of squalane oil, like I also mentioned before. But I haven't really been doing that. If anything, whenever my skin is dry, I have another bottle of sunscreen at work, and I'll just like throw a little bit of sunscreen on the dry areas, because I'm like, two birds, one stone, I'm reapplying and I'm moisturizing. Yeah, I think that's about it. I guess I'll really quickly just mention, if you have like body acne, there are body washes that have like some of the actives I mentioned. They have like salicylic acid and stuff. Might be worth a try. But for that, you really do kind of have to just make sure that you're like using a washcloth or like a loofah or whatever to like really scrub the areas that you get body acne, because it's probably just like built up dirt and sweat and dead skin cells. I'm not accusing anyone of like not showering properly. It really is just like some areas, the buildup is just more than others. And then for fungal acne, This happened to me one time, and I mentioned it before, it was because I was having kombucha like twice a day. Like I was having like 2 bottles of kombucha a day, which is excessive for anyone. But yeah, I think I just had like way too much, I don't know, like good bacteria and like in my guts, and it was just kind of like too much for my system. And so it helped with like other aspects of my skin, but then I was suddenly getting these patches of like really tiny pimples sort of, and I was like, this is really weird. It's not like whiteheads, like it's not like the regular acne that I get. And so I looked it up and I was like, oh, fungal acne can be caused by having like too much probiotics in your diet. And I was like, oh yeah, that hit me. That's definitely me. And I also thought I was going through that sort of during the time when I was figuring out that I was lactose intolerant. So I would like have a little bit of cheese, and then like my like stomach would feel off. So then I would have like kombucha to like help get it back into balance and to help with my digestion, which in turn caused fungal acne. And so I was getting like cystic acne from having dairy, and then fungal acne from having kombucha, and it was a mess. Yeah, would not recommend, doing that. Probably not a great way to approach it. Oh my gosh, it is so early here. I am still yawning. I made myself like an Americano, like a bulletproof Americano, it's like espresso, hot water. I used a mocha oat milk creamer and then a little bit of coconut oil to bulletproof it. And it's like staring me down. So I'm about to enjoy that. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to my very long-winded explanation of how I deal with my acne nowadays. All my approaches. I'm probably going to think of like other things. Oh, I guess like one other super quick random thing is like if you do have a really gnarly zit and like you for some reason really need to get rid of it like that day, you can go to a dermatologist and have them just like really quickly put like steroids into it or something, do a little quick steroid shot, and that'll flatten it like basically within the day. Apparently you can do that. I've never tried it. I can't recommend it from personal experience, but apparently people do that. Though I do hear that if you do that, that part of your skin will be a little bit like sunken in because, I don't know, I guess just like the inflammation is just like gone so quickly that, you know, I don't know why it gets sunken in, but that is what I've heard from the interwebs. If anyone has like personal experience with that, I'd love to hear about it. DM me on my Instagram at glowlandskin. You can DM me that. You can DM me cat videos. Love me some cat videos. Or any like questions or episode topics that you'd like for me to talk about. Yeah. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.